My parents squandered the family fortune on travels, yet they expect me to support them in their old age. I advised them to deposit a portion of their funds in the bank for unforeseen circumstances. However, they perceived my suggestion as a mere ploy to gain access to their wealth, dismissing my counsel and embarking on a carefree journey around the globe. 3 years later, having frivolously spent $4 million, they turned back to me, seeking refuge and support in their twilight years. In a moment of weakness, I took them in, only to be betrayed as they colluded with my brother to deceitfully seize my property, leaving me destitute. I met my demise beneath a bridge, subjected to the indignities of rogues. If you appreciate my tale, remember to follow and like, so you won't miss out on more captivating stories. Now, the main narrative is about to commence. When I opened my eyes once more, I found myself back on the day my parents returned from their travels to seek me out. Yun Yun, where are you living now? Your father and I brought you some local specialties to try. Upon hearing the familiar voice from my phone, I was momentarily dazed, only to realize that I had been reborn, returning to 2 years prior. That time, my parents had also called to inform me of their intention to visit with gifts. They had seldom shown concern for me throughout my childhood, yet this time, they remembered to bring me something from their trip, which deeply moved me. Without a second thought, I shared my neighborhood address with my mother, unwittingly allowing them entry into my home. Consequently, when they later proposed to stay with me indefinitely, I agreed without hesitation. However, they conspired with my brother to usurp my property and savings, casting me out of my home and leaving me to languish on the streets, facing a tragic demise. My mother, noticing my prolonged silence, assumed it was due to a poor signal and raised her voice to repeat her statement, her tone tinged with impatience. As I listened to her voice, an unsettling chill crept down my spine. In this lifetime, I yearn only to live for myself, refusing to sacrifice my existence for the sake of this illusory familial bond. Mom, I'm not at home. Please take the specialty gifts to my brother. I'm sure my sister-in-law and nephew would be delighted. There was a pause in my mother's voice before she replied, then send me your address, and the door code'll wait for your return at your house. She still wishes for my door code. I shall not be so naive again, Mom. The lock on my door isn't a keypad type, it requires a key, which I took with me. Perhaps you and Dad could visit me another time. Just tell me when you plan to return. My mother's tone grew increasingly impatient. She was confident I wouldn't dare to refuse, as I had rarely defied her throughout my life. Mom, my boss has sent me on a business trip to another province. I won't be back for at least 3 to 5 months. In truth, I was reclining on the living room sofa, contemplating having someone change the locks on my home shortly. Mom, I must go now. My boss will be angry if I don't get back to work. Without waiting for her to respond further, I ended the call and switched my phone to airplane mode. Once again, I retrieved my spare phone and efficiently contacted a nearby renovation company, spending 30,000 yuan to replace the door. Given the recent security concerns, Miss, would you like to install a surveillance system as well? We have a promotion going on. If you install it alongside the door, you can receive a 10% discount. Based on my past experiences, I knew my parents would not easily give up. Installing a surveillance system would indeed be a prudent measure. Yes. Please install the most expensive one. The one with ultra-clear visuals and impeccable sound quality. After tidying up my belongings, I purchased a plane ticket and escaped to Thailand for a vacation. As soon as I disembarked, I turned on my phone, only to find that my father was calling. Yun, your mother and I have run out of money, and we sold our house. We truly have nowhere to go. Since your place is empty, could you send us the keys? A cold laugh echoed within me. I had opposed the sale of their house from the very beginning. After selling the property, they divided the money. Half went to my brother, and the other half was spent on travel. I had advised them to save it, yet they scolded me for being greedy. Now, having squandered their funds and finding themselves without a refuge, they thought of me, their daughter. Dad, doesn't my brother have a house as well? Why don't you go stay with him? My father hesitated. Your brother and sister-in-law are living quite comfortably. Our presence would be too intrusive. So, it is only when you move in with me that you would not be a bother. But wait, didn't you always tell me since childhood that having a daughter is of little value, and that our old age would rely on our son? Now that you are older and in need of support, why do you not rely on my brother anymore? My mother, leaning close to her phone, had evidently been holding back for quite some time. She finally erupted in response. Have you really accomplished so much? Now that you have a successful career and the means to purchase a home, you no longer intend to care for your father and me? Was it not I who painstakingly raised you, nurturing you through your formative years and financing your education? Would you be where you are today without my sacrifices? Upon hearing this, a chill settled deeper upon my countenance. When I was accepted into university, my mother believed that an education was of little value for a girl and wished for me to marry early instead. Had I not insisted tearfully on pursuing my studies and taken the initiative to apply for student loans, working part-time while studying, completing my degree would have been an unattainable dream. Moreover, regarding the matter of purchasing a home, when I first broached the subject, my mother was the first to object vehemently. She deemed home ownership a man's responsibility, asserting that a girl should not concern herself with such matters. Would it not be easier to marry someone who already possessed a house and a car? She even threatened me, stating that if I chose to buy a home, they would not contribute a single cent. I had never expected them to assist me. Mentioning my intention to buy a house was merely a plea for familial blessings. Yet they countered, claiming that they had raised me and that now, with a job, I should remit 2,000 yuan monthly for household expenses. It was only after my parents sold the family home, bestowed the proceeds upon my brother, and embarked on their own travels, that I realized our family was not devoid of financial resources. They simply deemed it unnecessary to allocate funds for my benefit. They, along with my brother, sister-in-law, and nephew, hold greater significance than I do. Mom, I've already told you I can't return. If you have nowhere else to go, seek out my brother. Upon uttering these words, I ended the call and powered off my phone. I lifted my gaze to the vast expanse of clear blue sky, feeling a sense of liberation wash over me. Heaven has granted me a chance to start anew in this lifetime. I am determined to live fully and bid farewell to these wretched individuals and circumstances. Reclining on the plushed bed in my hotel room, I contemplated the events of my past life, increasingly curious about whether my parents would indeed seek out my brother in this life, and whether he would welcome them into his home. Suddenly, I recalled gifting my brother a smart voice-controlled television, complete with surveillance capabilities, when he moved into his new residence. At that time, my sister-in-law had asked me to activate the monitoring function to prevent my nephew from stealthily turning on the television to watch cartoons. I attempted to log into the account, and was surprised to find that I had not been logged out. The surveillance feed displayed my brother's living room in vivid detail. Calculating the time, if my parents had not encountered any delays on their journey, they should be nearing my brother's home by now. As anticipated, the doorbell at my brother's house soon rang. At that moment, only my sister-in-law was home. Resting in her room, awakened by the commotion, she emerged with a rather displeased expression. "Who is it?" Upon opening the door, she was met with the sight of my parents, laden with bags, standing at the threshold. The television was positioned just opposite the door, capturing this very moment on the surveillance feed. "Tinger, it's your parents." My father shyly smiled at my sister-in-law, while my mother brusquely squeezed past her and entered the house. Throughout the years, my mother and sister-in-law maintained a facade of mutual respect. However, in reality, neither held the other in high regard. "Where is my grandson? Where has he gone?" My sister-in-law rolled her eyes discreetly behind her. "Where else could he possibly be? Who among you two has the leisure? It's Tuesday. Xiaohao must be at kindergarten." My mother, resembling a supervisor on an inspection, surveyed the living room before proceeding to the kitchen, and without my sister-in-law's consent, she advanced into their bedroom. My sister-in-law instantly erupted. "Mom, that is my room. Could you please refrain from barging in? When I lived at home, my mother behaved similarly. Regardless of whether my door was locked, she would enter without knocking. She possessed keys to every room in the house. Since marrying my elder brother, my sister-in-law had never spent a complete day living with my mother. Otherwise, she would have found it even more intolerable than I did. Who knows whether you've allowed unsavory individuals to enter?" my mother muttered, believing my sister-in-law hadn't heard her, yet her face darkened immediately. Unlike me, she would not yield to my mother. Over the years, she had been pampered by my brother, and her temperament had grown increasingly delicate. "Mom, what do you mean by unsavory individuals?" Noticing the escalating tension, my father promptly intervened, rummaging through their luggage for distraction. "Tinger, don't be upset. Look at what we brought for Hao and for you from this trip. In recent years, they have squandered 4 million on travels across numerous countries." My mother, being one who relishes enjoyment, indulged in purchasing an array of handbags, cosmetics, and toys at duty-free shops. It is no wonder that within a mere 3 years, they have exhausted all their funds. Upon witnessing this, my sister-in-law's anger began to dissipate, and she warmly welcomed my parents, my elder brother, having learned of our parents' visit, left work early to pick up How. Mom and Dad, how long do you plan to stay this time? Where do you intend to travel next? He inquired excitedly as he placed a roasted duck leg into my mother's bowl. My parents exchanged peculiar glances and had yet to respond when my sister-in-law interjected. Mom and Dad, we are considering switching How to a bilingual kindergarten. However, we are still short of some funds. Since their marriage, the couple had frequently approached my parents for financial assistance. As soon as she spoke, everyone present knew she was once again asking for money. What they were unaware of was that my parents had run out of money, lacking even enough for hotel accommodations. My mother remarked, Tinger, does it really matter which kindergarten he attends? Frequently changing schools is not beneficial for the child. My father echoed her sentiment. My elder brother set aside the roasted duck, his expression darkening. You claim that Hauer is your precious darling, yet you hesitate to provide him with a quality education? Mom and Dad, it's not that I'm criticizing you, but how can you afford to travel abroad and yet be so stingy with your own family? As I witnessed the scene, I was sipping water and nearly choked. My elder brother was partially correct in his assertion. Indeed, our parents are frugal, but their stinginess seems to be directed solely at me, their daughter. With regard to my sister-in-law and nephew, they are generous and affectionate. So stingy would not be an appropriate description. Perhaps they have forgotten that prior to their travels, our parents transferred half the house payment to them. What ordinary family can freely part with several million? Yet, our parents, who dote on their son to an almost obsessive degree, truly did give. Father, realizing he could no longer conceal the truth and being ill-equipped to weave lies, confessed candidly. We are out of money. We came here to inquire if we might stay with you, for we have nowhere else to turn. My sister-in-law and brother exchanged glances. With a grin, my brother remarked, Father, you must be jesting. That's several million. How could you possibly have spent it all? My sister-in-law added, Indeed, mother, if you truly have no funds left, how could you afford so many luxury items? It is precisely due to these 3 years of constant travel and extravagant spending that the money has evaporated so swiftly. In a previous life, when I heard my parents claim they were out of money, I was equally astounded. For million, squandered in 3 years, and they never even considered setting aside a safety net. However, they reassured me that they were still young and could earn more, which allowed me to find some solace. Yet, my brother seems unable to come to terms with it. Have you truly exhausted every last cent? How can you be so wasteful? That amounts to 4 million. It was squandered in just 3 years. You should have saved it all for me back then. Upon hearing this, my father was immediately displeased. Have we not given you 4 million? If you truly do not wish for us to reside with you, return the 4 million to me, and we shall purchase another house. Upon learning that our parents sought to reclaim the 4 million, my brother and sister-in-law felt as though the sky was falling. The two of them retreated to a room to confer, and when they emerged, their demeanor towards our parents had softened considerably. My brother said, Mom, Dad, if you wish to stay, then do so at ease. After all, I do have vacant rooms here, my sister-in-law added. Indeed, How has been longing for his grandparents. It is perfect that you can spend more time with him. I could not bring myself to believe that my malicious brother and sister-in-law genuinely wanted our parents to move in. Surely, they were concocting some hidden scheme. As anticipated, no sooner had they pacified our parents than my brother's call came through. I chose not to answer. He tried several times, followed by calls from my sister-in-law. When they realized I wasn't answering, they resorted to sending me a message. Mom and Dad are in trouble. Come to brother's house quickly. Oh, did they think me a fool? In the past, I might have been deceived into returning, but in this lifetime, I was resolute in my desire to distance myself from this family. What a stroke of bad luck. My elder brother initially contemplated having our parents reside with me. After all, in a previous life, it was he who instigated our parents to move in, gradually usurping my property. Unable to reach me, he began to fret, pondering whether I had caught wind of something and fled in advance. They, more than I, were averse to cohabiting with our parents. Particularly in recent days, whenever my mother and sister-in-law convened, there was not a single day devoid of quarrels, which only heightened his agitation. He could only return to the office and surreptitiously utilize internal channels to ascertain the address of my property. My brother works at a real estate company. When I initially purchased my home, they disapproved and offered no support. Thus, I never voluntarily disclosed the location of my residence. Armed with the household registration book provided by my mother, which contained my identification details, he swiftly discovered where my property was situated. Upon learning that I resided in Tianjin No. 1 community, his expression immediately shifted to one of shock. The property prices there exceed 100,000 per square meter, and the residents are either affluent or of high status. He could scarcely fathom that his sister, who had relied on student loans, could afford a home in such a prestigious area. After several confirmations, he assured himself that he had made no error. Indeed, I had concealed from my family that I had become an online influencer, amassing a fortune through live commerce worth millions. In my previous life, I had been overly trusting of my family, divulging both my property and financial standing, only to unwittingly invite treachery into my home. Reflecting on the deceit I endured in my past existence, I could only wish to slap myself twice. Unable to reach me, my family was in a state of chaos. My brother, no longer willing to wait, along with my sister-in-law and parents, headed straight to my community. They even enlisted the help of a locksmith, intending to force open my door. Fortunately, I had the foresight to install surveillance at the entrance. I promptly contacted the property management. As a valued resident, they dispatched personnel immediately to handle the situation. My parents and the staff argued, asserting that I was their daughter and my residence was their property. They were merely concerned for my safety. We apologize, but we are obligated to safeguard the property of our residents as per their request. If you insist on forcing entry, we will have no choice but to notify the authorities of your illegal trespassing. I was pleasantly surprised by the efficiency of the property management. Their words were music to my ears. The annual management fee, which amounted to a significant sum, had not been in vain. After enduring a lengthy verbal altercation at the entrance, my parents and siblings were eventually escorted away by the security personnel. Once I was assured they would not return, the property management sent me a WeChat message to update me on the situation. Should they come again, we will handle it in the same manner. I expressed my gratitude and promptly sent them a generous red envelope. The property management, delighted by the gesture, readily agreed. With my brother's plan thwarted, my parents had no choice but to return home with him. My sister-in-law endured living with them for a while, during which the household chores fell entirely upon my mother's shoulders. My father is rather inept, completely oblivious to household chores, often causing more trouble than assistance. My sister-in-law subtly insinuates that my parents are merely a burden, and my mother, unable to bear the blow to her pride, outwardly claims she is willing to wash clothes and cook for my elder brother and his family, including picking up and dropping off the children. This has somewhat alleviated my sister-in-law's complaints. I recall the days when I lived at home. My mother never lifted a finger, merely dictating what she desired for meals and sending me to procure the ingredients. It was I who handled the laundry for the entire household. In return, I was often chided by my parents as a drain on resources, receiving disdainful looks during summer and winter breaks if I did not seek employment outside. Now it seems my mother is finally experiencing the same treatment. With their finances depleted and no funds for groceries, they find themselves reliant on my elder brother for money. Mother, I have surrendered my entire salary. If you need funds, you should ask Tinger, he dismissively retorts, completely disinterested in family affairs. Through the surveillance camera, I witnessed my mother, with her aging visage, approach my sister-in-law for money, only to be met with scorn and ridicule before finally securing enough for groceries. She must then rise early to shop and cater to this large family. Truly, those who are pitiful often possess qualities that inspire disdain. I, on the other hand, ordered takeout from a hotel, indulging in fried chicken and beer while watching videos on the large screen, finding them far more captivating than any soap opera. At 8 in the evening, my elder brother returned home, weary and burdened, just in time to encounter a heated argument between my mother and sister-in-law. The discord arose when my mother, having taken my nephew out for ice cream, inadvertently caused him to suffer from a stomachache that plagued him throughout the night. Sister-in-law pointed an accusatory finger at my mother, exclaiming, "You old hag, are you intent on harming my precious son? If anything happens to him, I will hold you accountable." In truth, my nephew had merely caught a chill. Emboldened by his mother's protection, he wept incessantly, claiming he was too ill to attend school and yearned for delectable treats. My elder brother, who dotes on the son more than anyone, immediately sided with his wife upon hearing that my mother had fed the child something unwholesome, rebuking her without hesitation. My mother, feeling wronged, found little support from my father, who remained silent as my mother was berated. In that case, I shall leave this place to avoid your incessant torment. My mother declared in a fit of anger, but my father quickly grasped her arm and whispered, "We have no money. If we don't stay with our son, where shall we reside?" My mother, momentarily overwhelmed by rage, was met with delight from my sister-in-law upon hearing her declaration to leave. "Very well, then, go ahead." Since my parents moved in, my brother had scarcely enjoyed a moment's peace, and upon reflection, he resolved to send them away. He pulled my father aside, producing a few bills from his wallet and placing them in my father's hand. "Father, you and mother should find a nearby hotel to stay. I will devise a plan to bring you back in a few days." Unable to withstand the constant bickering between the two women any longer, my father accepted the money and began to pack his belongings. Just before departing, my mother shot a disdainful glance at my sister-in-law, muttering, "What a piece of work." Witnessing this, I couldn't help but applaud. This is the essence of poetic justice: evil begets evil. In those early days when my elder brother was courting my sister-in-law, I had cautioned my mother about her temper. I had witnessed, during a dinner I hosted for her, how she berated a waitress over a trivial matter, reducing the poor girl to tears. This incident left me deeply unsettled, and upon returning home, I mentioned it to my mother. However, she promptly reported my words to my brother, claiming I spoke ill of his fiancée. To this day, both my brother and sister-in-law maintain a cool distance from me. My brother contributes only a modest sum to our parents, yet they have grown accustomed to a more lavish lifestyle over the years, insisting on staying in upscale hotels costing several hundred per night rather than settling for more economical options. In just a few days, they have exhausted their funds. Despite this, they have not ceased their attempts to contact me. When they couldn't reach me, they surmised that I was deliberately avoiding them, which led them to frantically mention me in our family group chat. One evening, my phone was inundated with calls from relatives, prompting me to uncover the unfolding drama. To my astonishment, they were accusing me in our family WeChat group of mistreating them and driving them out of the house. Excuse me? It is my sister-in-law who has mistreated them, and it is my brother who has cast them aside, is it not? How can this be attributed to me? As I continued to read, I found my parents lamenting the hardships they endured while raising me, claiming that after my graduation, I had developed wings and disregarded them entirely. They have crafted a narrative that paints me as an unfilial daughter. Ironically, in the eyes of our relatives, they present themselves as the epitome of a respectable couple, portraying a facade of being devoted parents to outsiders. Thus, everyone stands on the side of my parents, condemning me for my perceived unfiliality, with some even attempting to persuade me over the phone. My WeChat notifications have reached a staggering 99, alongside dozens of missed calls and a multitude of text messages, all laden with accusations against me. Within my family, there's a cousin who has gained notoriety as a minor internet celebrity. In a bid for attention, she took screenshots of our group chat and disseminated them online, igniting a heated debate. Some individuals even resorted to doxing, and I cannot help but marvel at the power of the internet, as certain netizens managed to uncover my identity and expose my online pseudonym. I already possess a substantial following of several million, and coincidentally, there was a live streaming sales event scheduled. To my astonishment, upon entering the streaming room, I was inundated with a throng of onlookers. They were not my fans. Yet one by one, they hurled insults at me, accusing me of draining my parents' resources while portraying myself as an inspirational figure online. They labeled me as morally corrupt and claimed that the products I promoted were counterfeit. Even rival companies seized the opportunity to capitalize on the controversy. As a result of this incident, my facade completely crumbled. My sister-in-law, engrossed in online shopping, stumbled upon the trending topic and was left aghast. She, holding her phone in disbelief, sought out my elder brother, exclaiming, "Is this your sister?" Given that I usually present myself in a disheveled manner at home, eschewing any form of adornment, and having not interacted with them for several years, they were oblivious to my transformation. After venturing into the realm of live streaming sales, I mastered the art of makeup to an extraordinary degree, and with the aid of filters, my online appearance starkly contrasted with my offline self. Consequently, they had failed to recognize me. My elder brother was equally taken aback, a flicker of jealousy flashing in his eyes. The profitability of live stream sales is well known to him. He has previously contemplated pursuing this side venture, yet he has been unable to bring it to fruition. Meanwhile, his younger sister, whom he has always looked down upon, has quietly ascended to the status of a live streaming sensation, igniting a spark of jealousy within him. Recently, I have allowed public opinion to ferment. The company has urged me to intervene, and even some of our partner firms have sought clarification from me. Due to my personal issues, their product quality has come under scrutiny, and I must bear the responsibility. However, I have chosen to remain silent, refraining from responding to anyone in the family group chat. I consulted with a lawyer, who advised me to gather and secure all evidence to ensure a decisive blow. I retrieved all bank statements since my high school graduation. Did my parents not claim they had raised their daughter in affluence while raising their son in poverty? Did they not assert they had purchased a house for me, only for me to turn my back on them and cast them out, leaving them with nowhere to go? Did they not say I would become a freeloader after graduation, contributing nothing but constantly asking my family for money? There were even accusations that the car I currently drive was a gift from an older man who was financially supporting me. I meticulously organized all the evidence and shared a copy in the family group chat, tagging that little internet celebrity cousin. Subsequently, I issued a letter from my lawyer on my personal account and uploaded the evidence, which included my student loans, demonstrating that the tuition for my 4 years in university was funded by a national student loan, which I have since repaid through hard work after graduation. During my 4 years at university, I received a solitary transfer of 800 yuan as living expenses from my parents in my first year. Thereafter, no further financial support came my way. Throughout my studies, I balanced academics with part-time work, earning wages that serve as evidence of my independence, not a pampered heiress living a life of indulgence reliant on my parents. Following graduation, I consistently transferred 2,000 yuan monthly to my mother. The vehicle I drive was purchased by my company, and my residence was secured via loans from my Provident Fund and salary card, entirely devoid of any monetary assistance from my parents. These various pieces of evidence have decisively countered the disparaging remarks made by relatives and netizens alike. Public opinion has begun to shift in my favor. My cousin even deleted her previous posts and sent me an apology, acknowledging her role as the origin of the online rumors. She expressed her frustration to my aunt, attributing her misunderstanding and subsequent online harassment to my parents. My aunt, relentless in her pursuit of my parents within the family chat, berated them to the point where they could hardly bear to check their phones, refusing to answer any calls from relatives. All the initial vitriol directed at me has now rebounded back upon them. Seizing this wave of attention, I hosted a live stream that propelled my sales figures to the top of the charts, leading to an influx of collaboration opportunities. My parents' reputation within the family group has been thoroughly tarnished. They initially believed that by enlisting the pressure of relatives, they could compel me to return. Now that I remain absent, they find themselves in a predicament, devoid of funds and without a place to stay. My parents were left with no choice but to retreat to seek assistance from my elder brother. As they entered the community, they spotted a middle-aged couple holding my nephew. Unfamiliar with this couple, they presumed my nephew had fallen victim to human traffickers and immediately confronted them. My sister-in-law arrived, utterly astonished. "What are you doing, Mom and Dad?" she exclaimed, addressing not my parents, but the middle-aged couple. My brother and sister-in-law had merely registered their marriage without a formal ceremony. Thus my parents had never had the opportunity to meet their in-laws. Initially, my parents felt somewhat embarrassed, stating, "It's a misunderstanding." However, their amusement quickly faded as they realized that this couple resided in the same community as their son. They understood well that the housing prices in this area ranged from 3 to 4 million per unit, while the in-laws were quite impoverished, primarily engaged in agriculture. Were it not for my brother being a vocational school graduate and my sister-in-law having pursued a bachelor's degree, my mother would never have consented to their union. Given the financial circumstances of my brother-in-law's family, purchasing a home in this community was utterly implausible. My brother, unable to withstand my mother's insistence, finally revealed the truth. It turned out that the 4 million yuan they originally provided for the house had been used by my sister-in-law to purchase a residence for her parents. Upon hearing this, my parents felt as though they might faint. Demand repayment. Insist that they return the money. My sister-in-law coldly retorted, "This money was voluntarily given by you. On what grounds do you expect its return? Besides, your money is essentially my husband's money. He entrusted it to me for my discretion. What's wrong with my spending it to purchase a house for my parents?" Their argument was so loud that, even without the speakerphone, I could hear it clearly through the surveillance footage. I couldn't help but sigh at the audacity of individuals like my sister-in-law in this world. You truly lack shame. This is not your money. It is clearly the pension that my husband and I have painstakingly earned over decades. If you don't wish to return the money, that's acceptable. My sister-in-law's eyes brightened. Then let your parents vacate the house for us. After all, it was purchased with our money, so it rightfully belongs to us. Her expression darkened once more. She revealed her trump card and threatened to divorce my brother, declaring that if my parents wanted money or the house, she would take my nephew with her, ensuring that my brother would never see him again. My nephew obediently began to cry, exclaiming, "I hate Grandpa and Grandma. Can you please get out of my house?" My mother, overwhelmed with anger, clutched her heart and gasped for breath, fainting in the process. My brother immediately called for an ambulance. During this chaos, unable to reach me, he contacted my agency. Sister Chun from the company called me to explain the situation. My brother informed me that our mother has suffered a heart attack and may not have much time left, insisting that I return to see her one last time. He threatened to post a video online, accusing me of being unfilial and heartless if I failed to comply. Such a tactic is indeed cruel. If my mother were to succumb to her condition due to their distress, the blame might unjustly fall upon me for not returning. However, he is unaware that the hospital they chose is one where I have a close acquaintance, a senior from my university days. Our bond has remained strong since then, and upon learning of my mother's hospitalization, I reached out to him for assistance in looking after her. True to form, it wasn't long before he sent me a message: "Your mother has regained consciousness." But she adamantly refuses to leave the hospital and insists on a certificate of critical condition. My mother has always been in good health. This incident was merely the result of being overly agitated, and a few bottles of glucose would suffice for her discharge. Her refusal to leave undoubtedly stems from her desire to extract sympathy from me. I cannot allow her to have her way. I shared the situation with my cousin, who has endured severe online harassment due to past events, harboring a deep-seated resentment towards my mother and her family. I offered her a chance for redemption, and she readily agreed without hesitation. In our family group chat, I tagged everyone to inform them of my mother's illness and hospitalization, while also revealing that I myself had recently been hospitalized due to the toll of public scrutiny, leaving me unable to return to the country to visit her. I requested that any relatives with time to spare might consider visiting her on my behalf. I even shared a photo of myself receiving intravenous treatment in the hospital. My mother had yet to utter a word in the group chat when my cousin promptly interjected, "I'm available. I'll head to the hospital shortly. With me there, you can rest assured." Meanwhile, my mother awaited my return, only for my cousin to arrive instead. I instructed my senior to arrange a single patient room for them. My father, mother, and brother with his wife were in the ward, conspiring on how to deceive me into returning and extorting money from me. These conversations were surreptitiously recorded by my cousin, who had gone to the hospital to visit. In the video, my brother declared, "Once that troublesome girl returns, we shall make her transfer the property to mother. We must not let her give any advantage to a man outside." My mother chimed in, "Indeed. Once the property is transferred, we shall find a man for her to marry. The bride price can be used to buy your father a vehicle." My sister-in-law added, "But it should first go to your grandson. He urgently needs to transfer to a kindergarten, and he still lacks 300,000. That bride price would be just sufficient." My father suggested, "I believe we should use it as a down payment to purchase a house." My nephew exclaimed, "No, no. I want to indulge in delicious food and visit the amusement park. When is Annie coming back? I heard she has a lot of money. And mother said that money will eventually be mine to save for a bride." When my cousin sent me the video, I was left trembling with rage. Although I had witnessed their callousness in a previous life, I never anticipated their audacity could reach such depths. I am, after all, their kin. I am still alive. Yet they are already contemplating how to manage my assets. Is it not even evening yet, and they have begun to dream? My mother remains unaware of the video. My brother, having received a response from my agency stating that I would not return, in a fit of rage, recorded a video of my mother in the hospital and released it. In the video, my mother appears haggard, connected to and for, lamenting that I am a disloyal daughter for not visiting her during her illness. Despite the conflicts that may arise between mother and daughter, should one remain so cold and unfeeling when the family is in distress? In this era where monetary gain online has dulled the senses to familial affection, it is evident that her relatives had not treated her well previously. To those who comment, if your mother were nearing death, would you sever ties over a few harsh words she spoke, refusing even a final farewell? As I perused the comments below, I realized that there are indeed many self-proclaimed champions of justice now. After the video had garnered attention online, I finally signaled to my cousin that it was time to release the video. She had waited patiently for my cue and, filled with excitement, uploaded it along with a heartfelt message. I had been deceived by my aunt's family and wronged my sister. Now I understand why she has always been reluctant to return home, for this household is inhabited by malevolent spirits eager to drain her life force. The previous incident had attracted considerable interest, and many were keen to follow the developments. Thus, it was not long before the video my cousin posted went viral, being shared by numerous influencers. The peculiar remarks made by my parents and siblings in the video have ignited widespread discussion, propelling them into the limelight. Now, they are recognized by people across the nation. Numerous social media influencers have rushed to publish articles overnight, offering advice on how to escape a dysfunctional family background. Those who previously empathized with my mother have been left with their words turned against them. Having such family members is truly unfortunate. Some even advocate for their experience, wishing that others encounter similar parents. In short, my parents' schemes have unraveled. Not only within our family, but even among neighbors in the community who have viewed the video. There is now a buzz of gossip surrounding my brother and sister-in-law. I reported my brother to the real estate company for abusing his authority by unlawfully investigating the property records of the public. Consequently, he was dismissed from his position and fined. My sister-in-law's private school faced a united front from the parent committee, who resisted her involvement, unwilling to have someone of her questionable moral character teach their children. Bowing to pressure, the school suspended her. Even the international kindergarten where my nephew initially applied rejected his admission request. My sister-in-law claims that my parents are to blame for her plight, insisting on divorcing my brother. In a fit of desperation, my brother expelled my parents from their home, refusing to provide them with any financial support. With no money and nowhere to stay, my parents stormed into my community, only to be intercepted by the property management before they even reached the entrance, where they were promptly escorted away by security. They lingered at the entrance of the community for quite a while. As night fell, the wind began to howl and rain started to pour, forcing them to seek refuge beneath the overpass to sleep. However, scarcely had they closed their eyes when they encountered a robber. In a previous life, I had faced this very criminal. He saw me, a young girl alone, and brazenly assaulted me. In the struggle, I was suffocated to death by his hands. He then cast a lecherous gaze upon my parents, surveying my mother from head to toe before snatching the gold necklace from her neck. My father attempted to intervene, but was nearly beaten to the point of internal bleeding. My mother cried out, pleading for mercy. Just then, the police arrived, and the robber fled in haste. I listened as my cousin vividly recounted the scene, as if she were present at that moment. Serves them right, she exclaimed in a voice message, her tone tinged with intrigue. Sister, do you know what happened next? I leaned against the balcony of my seaside villa, feeling the ocean breeze, and replied softly, what happened? Your parents, unable to contain their fury, stormed back to your brother's house, where they found your brother, sister-in-law, and her parents gathered around your little nephew, enveloped in familial bliss. Your mother, overwhelmed with rage, rushed to the kitchen, seized a knife, and attacked your sister-in-law's parents. They were grievously injured, and your sister-in-law, driven mad, fought back with a knife of her own. Your mother was wounded in the fray, and your father and brother attempted to intervene, only to be brutally injured by the two deranged women, landing them in the ICU. Currently, there is a fundraising effort taking place within the family group to gather medical expenses. It has come to my attention that the house has been put up for sale, yet it is unfortunate that they purchased it at a peak price, rendering it undesirable to potential buyers. Sister, please do not return now, or you will inevitably find yourself embroiled in trouble once more. I exhaled sharply, feeling a sense of vindication upon hearing their misfortune. Why would I be foolish enough to go back? I have already requested an additional 2 weeks of leave from my agency and have booked a flight for myself. Tomorrow, I shall embark on a journey to Malaysia to indulge in diving. In a few days, I will also travel to Europe to admire the white doves. I am quite occupied, with no time to concern myself with these wretched individuals and their troubles. Before my departure, I adorned myself with an exquisite makeup look and shared a photograph on my social media, accompanied by the caption, "Big data does not lie." If you see this, please like it and leave a message saying I am well, make peace with the past, and you shall find your path smoother. My cousin, swift of hand, promptly liked my post and commented, "I am well, and I will continue to thrive." The end.